Hello, everyone. Welcome back to pretty much the end of round one. I think this is the last current patch race, and there's going to be one 1-2-2-1 race tomorrow. But this is the last current patch race between Slaurent and Quacksilver. This is the all skills tournament. You can see in the bottom right. And yeah, that's about all I have. This is current patch. I am notoriously a 1-2-2-1 runner. My name is Palm. I'm here with JB Hyperion. Is that how I say that?
That's correct. Yes. Hello, everyone.
And he knows current patch, so anything that we get wrong, please blame him.
Excellent. I've been dropped in the deep end on my very first stream. Please be gentle with me. But yeah, I'm very excited. So this is going to be a kind of quarter-final match. Like, we were supposed to only be doing round one, but Slaurent and Quacksilver, our two competitors, were a little bit eager and have decided that they want to get their race in right at the end of this this segment here. So these two are actually really evenly matched. Slaurent with a 1 hour 1 minute and 44 second PB, and Quack with 1 hour 2 minutes and 38 seconds. So like less than 1 minute separating the runners if they both play to their PB pace.
That's sick. Yeah, I didn't realize that this was a quarterfinal match. They're jumping the gun a little bit. Are we allowing this?
I don't think we can turn back now. We're on the precipice of the race.
It's a little bit late. Right.
We can't deny all these wonderful people the content. So
I'll ping the runners and see if they're ready. We'll count them down and we'll get started here shortly. But yeah, it should be an exciting race if they have less than a minute separating their PBs.
Yeah, I haven't seen Quack practicing all skills much, but I know he's been very active in just trying to invent as many like category extensions as possible. He's been very active in routing and running NKG, hit every lever in the game, his Ghostbusters, like Dream Nail all the ghosts. So in theory, I think he is maybe slightly more experienced in like the routing and the movement. But if anything kind of deviates from the expected, and we know Sanctum and Hornet 2 are very places where that's very likely to happen, then Slaurent, who's maybe a bit more practiced on the route especially, may be able to adapt a little better.
Yeah, it's always fun when you have matchups like these where kind of their strengths differ, and you can see that in different points during their run. So I did count them down. We should get started shortly here. It's just a restream delay. It always happens. You actually saw Quack go to the main menu screen and then back to the file select. The reason for that, it's not too important, but might as well talk about it while I load in here. It's if you submit a run to speedrun.com, you actually have to start on the main menu screen, not the file select screen or the new game screen or whatever you want to call it. So racers will often wait until the very last second to kind of quit out to the main menu and then go back to the file select and then start at the same time. So a little bit of trivia for you.
Expecting PB during tournament race? That's confidence.
I mean, you might as well leave yourself the chance, right?
Well, from experience, the time when you're not recording and there's no pressure is the time when you perform the best. So if you don't record it, then it didn't happen. But yeah, both our runners getting underway, traveling through King's Pass. Obviously, there's a few differences between this current patch route and the patch 1.2.2.1 all skills route that will become apparent later, and we'll bring them up when they are important. But for the most part, for the first kind of 10-15 minutes or so of the run, it'll be very similar in terms of route. We'll just see the absence of a little 1.2.2.1 speed tech.
Yep, like the inventory drop that you saw, or rather didn't see at the very beginning of King's Pass here. I'm also surprised Slaurent got a hardfall there. It looked like he had the softfall set up and then randomly got a hardfall. So I don't know how current patch works.
Both of them coming out of King's Pass at 59 even, so yeah, nothing but a little delay in starting between the two of them just now.
Yeah, 59 for both of them. Another thing for current patch is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they don't have a load normalizer mod. I think that is exclusive to 1.2.2.1. Fortunately, current patch runs a little bit better, so the load shouldn't be as long and as different between the two runners, but we could get a little bit off sync. Right now, it's looking pretty good, though.
Yeah, so current patch has a load normalizer as part of the modding API, but it doesn't have a standalone load normalizer like the patch 1.2.2.1 does. The modding API obviously wouldn't be a problem if they were both using it. but it doesn't make the run valid for the leaderboards. And you'll notice with modding API, the game performance improves slightly. So some cycles might be a little bit different. There's a little bit less downtime to kind of catch a breather in between rooms.
Yeah, there's just a little too much different to be able to allow it on speedrun.com, which is completely fair. It's the only problem that it would, create is the load time difference. But again, it looks like between these two, it's not going to be too much of a problem.
Slaurent took a little bit of extra time in the Aspid arena to pick up some Geo, but he's taken quite a beating coming through Crossroads right now, only down to 2 HP, whereas Quack is still on 5 masks. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem going into Statue Pogo and then into False Knight arena.
Yep, and normally it wouldn't be if you're doing PB attempts. The issue, because if you're at 2 HP, you just go for it, and if you die, well, you die and you reset. Not the case with Erase, so yeah, a little more dangerous. We'll see if he decides to heal. It should be pretty safe. You're not really expected to take damage during the False Knight fight, so he might elect to just go for it.
Yeah. Slaurent not getting a great pattern of the husks there. The jumping husk just kind of blocking Slaurent there, and he is going to take a safety heal. I kind of like that. You're not going to lose too much time this early in the run to a couple of heals, and you really, as you said, don't want to die and go all the way back to the Dirtmouth bench this early on. That's not good for the mental game.
Oh yeah, I mean, and your time. It's terrible. I think with 2 HP you can justify it, because yes, you don't want to die, but also you're probably not taking 2 hits to False Knight. With 1 HP, even there you saw Slaurent taking additional damage, so definitely the right play to heal. We'll see what time they get to VS. Quack has had the better RNG here. Slaurent got hit twice in the Grezzer drop. 2 more times I think were more his fault than anything, but Grezzer drop being kind of the main difference in RNG, and on top of the False Knight cycle, how he jumps over you.
Yeah, it's a long run though, so a little bit difference in RNG could definitely balance itself out later on in the run with either RNG or obviously execution. So it looks like Quack is probably going to be taking about a 10-second lead, maybe slightly more, going into picking up Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, it looks like just about 10 seconds based on the time. It looks like Quack picked it up at 340 and Slaurent at 350. And yeah, speaking of RNG, we have the Boulder Spit coming up, so technically we could see it all come back right here, although fairly unlikely that Quack gets, what would it have to be, like a 6-7 spit, something like that.
You mean you're not expecting your famous record of 19 spits to be broken here?
I can't allow it. Is it 19? Jeez.
I think it was 18 spits and then the boulder.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I might be wrong.
You're right. No, I think you're right. That's so insane, dude.
Did you calculate what the percentage chance of that was?
Yeah, it's like 4 in a million. 1 in 250K.
Did you go buy a lottery ticket?
No, I already used my luck. I can't buy a lottery ticket after that. Quack got first, it looks like.
Ooh, Slaurent getting a bit unlucky. The Vengefly just deciding to hang out underneath the platform and refuse to be pogoed there. But didn't phase him too much. Slaurent getting first spit, so that's nice. Oh, and a bonus second hit as well. That's really helpful, because going into the next boulder, we aren't able to quick kill that boulder on this patch. So we need 9 hits of soul by the time we leave the tall Gruzzer room. And there's 8 tick-ticks that you can hit really easily. And that 1 extra hit usually has to come from a Gruzzer. So having that extra hit from the boulder makes Slaurent's pathing significantly less RNG influenced.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he actually didn't get 3 hits off that boulder, because if you get 3 hits and come into this room only needing 6 soul, you can theoretically do it a lot faster. You don't have to get some of the tick-ticks that are normally pretty off-cycle. Either way, though, it's not too big of a deal. I also liked Slaurent benching and Mound. It is only 1 HP that he benched. He was at 4 HP at the time, but, again, pretty worth it. Oh my god. Especially with the amount of damage Slaurent seems to be taking at the beginning of this run.
Slaurent had almost too many boulders there. He probably would have liked just the 1 and then the Elder Boulder to just sit down. But Slaurent taking a little bit of damage, but he did bench. Benching does lose you a couple of seconds, but dying to Hornet, for example, is, since you don't have dash, the walk back is one of the longest time investments you're going to have to make via a death. So I kind of like just offering up 2 seconds there early in the run just for safety.
Yeah, especially with him taking 2 hits to that boulder. 2 HP right here would be so scary. A nice fireball skip from Quack, by the way. First in current patch. We don't do the first one at the very beginning of Rune Path because we don't have the soul for it.
Although with how many boulders Slaurent got, he might have considered getting
Slaurent
that first fireball skip, but yeah. Slaurent coming up to his first fireball skip. Quack getting the second one really nicely.
Okay.
Slaurent fireballed a little early there, but he just managed to make it, so that's good. I was a little nervous that he'd fireball too early. But
I was too. It looked very early, but the fireballs themselves were quite good. Quack has had a really clean run so far, by the way. Pretty good RNG and pretty good execution. And yeah, you see Slaurent jump just a little bit early there. You're going to bonk on that top platform, not get the height you need. Instead of going back for it, which you can do, you can go back and try again. He's just going to use this backup here, nicely done on the backup of the pogo.
Yeah, that doesn't lose you too much time taking that little pogo off the husk there, so pretty nice to minimize this loss. Quack is probably going to have extended his lead just a little bit, but we'll have to see what patterns Moss Knights and obviously Hornet give, because that can swing the contest a little bit in one direction or the other. Neither runner managing to get Moss Knight to double dash backwards. A little bit harder on this patch, given that his hitbox is shifted all the way over to the left for some reason. You can't kind of close up right next to him and then do the up slash fireball.
So Quack electing to wait on these Moss Knight patterns here. We'll see. This is another opportunity for Slaurent to make a little bit of a comeback in the RNG department, but we'll see. Quack did... Go ahead.
I was going to say, his first fireball didn't seem to hit that second Moss Knight. It must have been just off screen. So he had to do a little bit of melee to get rid of that second Moss Knight, but otherwise clears up very nicely with 4 HP going into the Hornet fight.
And bad RNG for Slaurent too, unfortunately. Slaurent about 25 seconds behind here, actually, through a mix of RNG and the damage he's taken. But really no fault of his. Quack has had a really, really good run. I think those Moss Knights were probably the worst part of the run so far, which is a pretty good thing at Hornet.
Hornet being very jumpy, but Quack managing to deal with that very nicely.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Again, not the best RNG, but Quack deals with it pretty well. Quack picks up Cloak at 8:25, a super, super respectable time for current patch.
Yeah. You saw Slaurent healing up to 4 HP going into Hornet. You can tell he's maybe feeling a little bit nervous with how the run has gone so far. He is taking a little bit of damage, but I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, the good thing for him is these time losses are pretty minimal compared to some stuff that can happen later, such as, the main one being the Spike Tunnel. There are also
Spike
bosses,
Tunnel and
Hornet
the Aspid
2.
skips. Yeah, Hornet 2 can be a little bit of a pain. We
Some-
can see people lose lots of time and HP on things like Abyss Climb and Lighthouse Siblings and things like that. So Sanctum as well can just give you terrible patterns, and you better hope that you took that Spire bench.
Yeah, Sanctum's a big one too. Some places in Peaks. I mean, there's a lot of places to lose time here. Half a minute time loss. I mean, not the start Slaurent wanted, but not the end of the world either.
Yeah, to anyone just tuning in, Slaurent is probably about, you think, 25 seconds behind right now?
I think it was 29 on Cloak.
Okay, he had some very bad RNG early on, and I think he's suffering a little bit from the nerves of that, and he's played very safe, better than playing very risky, of course. But Quack has been executing really well thus far and has pulled out a little bit of lead.
Moss Knights aren't RNG on this patch. Ugh, things I don't know. Wait, so when I said the only bad part of Quack's run was the Moss Knights, really there was no bad part of Quack's run. This is a really good run from Quack.
He's played very well so far. You're going to see him pick up the fungal rocks here. Depending on whether you get good enemy geos drops in a city,
Quack goes
maybe you don't need those rocks. He's going to go for the swag Pantapogo.
Oh.
He side slashes instead of down slashes, but otherwise that looked pretty good. I wonder how many more chances he's going to give this, knowing he has a lead.
Dude, it's so hype.
That's really unfortunate.
I respect not going again. I think going down to 1 HP is way, way too risky in a race there.
If Slaurent decides to just forego Epogo completely, which he will have ended up saving probably about 10 or 15 seconds here by just not taking those 2 attempts at Epogo.
Yeah,
but definitely respect to Quack for trying that in a race, which will be his first race. Obviously, Slaurent has competed in the 1-2-2-1 bracket, one of the few runners that's doing both, but it will be Quack's first race. So.
Mm-hmm. And for those who might be new to Hollow Knight speedrunning or just tuning in, this is a current patch race, so this is on the current patch 1432. And ePogo is much, much, much harder than 1221. Very difficult trick in this patch, so just because these guys aren't getting it doesn't say anything bad about them, it just says something about the patch.
Quack had a very close encounter with Mantis Pogo there. He dashed into the ledge, and the game decided, okay, I'll push you up onto the ledge. But it was a little bit touch and go for a second. But both runners picking up Mantis Claw without too many difficulties.
Yes, Slaurent, not as much trouble with the Pogo itself, but almost falls off after the Pogo. It looks like something around, I'd say 5 to 10 second advantage for Quack. Maybe about a 10-second advantage for Quack now. Yeah, so it is something worth mentioning. There is a new beta out for Hollow Knight, for those who don't know. So I guess 1432 isn't technically current patch anymore. That might need some reworking in the naming, but for the purposes of this tournament and these races, we're going to be calling it current patch. It is the most recent patch that is not in beta, and it has been the quote-unquote current patch for literally years. It is still technically the current patch. Yeah, there's some semantics around it, but we'll be calling it current patch. Patch 1.4.3.2. Depending
on what happens with the beta and if they push any more, especially more significant changes, I guess we'll have to decide whether it's 1.4 plus or how we go about that. But for now, yes, 1432 is still the latest official patch that's kind of fully released and not in beta, as you said.
Mm-hmm. What's ePogo? ePogo is explosion pogo, so the explosion that spore creates is pogoable, or rather it was pogoable in 1221, but it's still possible to get over that little ledge you saw them trying to get up. But it just stands for explosion pogo. It's a way to get to Mantis Village faster. It saves something in the order of like 20-25 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit more if you use the Panther setup, which doesn't revolve menuing and VSync and things like that, which is a lot more accessible on current patch, especially at 60 Hz. But it's not in excess of 30 seconds, I would say. Slaurent getting pretty nice cleanup with the Gruzzers, just one flying off to the ceiling that he has to dispatch of. Quack having a pretty good performance as well, picking up his Shaman Stone, and now going to talk to Sly and set up for the Shade Skip. So we do have to talk to Sly to free him in current patch. We can't use the dash slash ability to form the lever skip to get Shade Soul. So we have to buy Elegant Key for 800 Geo later in the run and do it the intended way.
Yep, 100% required to free Sly. Doesn't matter what route you're using. To get all skills, you need to free Sly. We'll see the Shade Skip set up here. Runners tend not to have too much of a problem with this. You see Quack get it very nicely there. People are just... the game's been out for long enough, and people have been running this game for long enough. Like, Shade Skip used to be a thing that's like, oh, people might mess this up, and now it's just become like, almost every time people are getting it.
I remember when I first started speedrunning and I saw Shade Skip thinking like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. How do people do this? And now that I've been running for a few months, it's just kind of second nature. You don't really think about it that much anymore. But there are obviously harder variants that are like clawless and fireball stalls required that we see in other categories. But the any percent and all skills Shade Skip fairly accessible to new runners.
Yep. So we'll see them going into City about the same time here. Again, maybe 10-15 second lead. Just an estimate for Quack, but in the long term that doesn't mean too much. Going to City right now is exclusive to all skills. Going to City through Blue Lake this early as opposed to getting Dream now. Why do we do that? I guess we just don't need Dream. Is there like a good reason we don't get Dream Nail now? There must be.
I think we don't get Dream Nail now because we also get Crystal Dash and D-Dark at the same time.
Yeah, you're right.
And obviously we can't get D-Dark now because we don't have Dive yet. Any percent requires us to get Dream Nail really early so that we can obviously fight Watcher Knights and get Lurian. So you notice Slaurent's been killing quite a few enemies in City that Quack kind of skipped over. They both got the fungal rocks at the top of the explosion pogo room. So Slaurent maybe just deciding that either he's missed some geo earlier on and he wants a bit of a safety net, or maybe Quack is planning to farm some hoppers on the way to dash slash right before he needs that big cash injection.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I guess they're not too far off in Geo, right? It's 25 Geo different. So I guess Slaurent got the rocks but was lower with the rest of the Geo? Is that the idea?
Potentially. I mean, most city enemies will drop 10 Geo or around about 10 Geo, so if you take out like a row of enemies, you can very quickly kind of add up a little bit of extra currency here or there.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I have no idea what like Geo count you're actually supposed to be at this point in current match. I don't even know what we're buying next.
So our next investment is going to be Elegant Key, which is... we're going to get King's Station Stag first, sorry, on the way back to go into Peaks. And then we're going to get Elegant Key after doing Peaks. So we need... that'll be 1,050 Geo to do those two things. And we get most of that from, obviously, Gorgeous Husk and from the Soul Master Geo Chest, which is 380. And I do believe both runners got the bench above this Great Husk Sentry that Slaurent is now dispatching. Sanctum is slightly more difficult and also slightly more RNG based here than it is on 1221 patch, because we can't lever skip that Hell Room, unfortunately, with the 3 Soul Twisters. And that room can go wrong very quickly, and it really doesn't always have to be the runner's fault. So getting that bench for the cost of maybe 5 or 6 seconds is definitely a good investment.
Yeah, especially in a race setting. And yeah, Sanctum, I feel like the 2 rooms that you don't skip with Sanctum with Dash Slash are probably the 2 most annoying rooms. There's Hell Room, but then on the way out of Sanctum you can't do the Dash Slash lever skip either.
Both Twisters getting right up in Quack's face there, but he only takes 1 damage, so that's pretty good. He manages to pogo on top of them and get them out of the way.
Oh yeah, plus you don't have Shade, so... Dude, current patch just seems harder.
Yeah, so this Soul Warrior and the Soul Warrior in front of Shade Soul, obviously, that we're going to have to dispose of later, are going to be a little bit more difficult to get rid of with just the 20 damage Vengeful Spirit with Shaman Stone. We can try and get doubles, obviously, so 40 damage is quite nice, but there's very little chance of us instantly blowing up some of those enemies like we can with like Shade Soul doubles, unfortunately.
You saw Quack walk up to that Soul Twister waiting for him to teleport, and then eventually just said, whatever. Dashed right through him, took the damage. So Quack's Hell Room here, wow,
really good actually, yeah. Quack's he's
room.
been blessed by the RNG gods though so far this run. Slaurent not having quite as good luck, but as I said, long run that can still turn around.
Yeah, and credit to Quack. I mean, Quack's been playing very, very well. This has been a super good.
Oh yeah, he has absolutely not just been benefiting from good RNG. He has been executing very well.
Yeah, this fight a little bit more dangerous too without Shade Soul. You tend not to get hit too much, by the way, Slaurent. I shouldn't say beating Hellroom yet. Okay, Slaurent getting through Hellroom, only getting hit once, so he's fine here.
So in addition to not having Shade Soul for the extra kind of 20 damage, you also can't break the Soul Vessel Jars outside of the arena to refill your soul right at the beginning. So you're going to have to use your nail quite a bit more in this fight in order to deal damage. Quack doesn't look like he's going too much for double hits though, but he still manages a very nice fight.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't look very double hit heavy, but he got a couple nice attacks where he could do a lot of damage to Soul Master without him teleporting away. So even without the doubles, it seemed like a pretty good fight.
Slaurent's getting fake dived out a lot here.
Yeah.
His bad luck does seem to be continuing, unfortunately.
I love this little dash. It looks so clean to just dash through all of the projectiles. And more fake dives for Slaurent.
Quack opting to do the double up slash strat in the kind of continuous dive phase rather than up slashing, dashing, and then hitting him with a side slash as he falls. But he manages to come through with full health, so clearly well performed. And a 1915 Desolate dive from Quack.
Yeah,
we'll see how far Slaurent is behind.
Yeah, just going into the second phase here. And Slaurent's having a pretty good run, too. He's just getting pretty bad RNG, whereas Quack's getting both good RNG and playing very well. I'm very impressed by both these runners so far. It's been a good race.
Slaurent opting to get rid of all his soul, do a few nail hits, and that allows him to heal back up to 5 health. I know that he does have quite a good PC, and his FPS is pretty high, which makes these volley enemies fly obnoxiously fast at times. So this room that Quack's diving into now can become way harder than you'd expect it to if you have like a really good FPS.
To answer chat, is getting the upgrades slower. Getting Shade Soul before doing any of Soul Sanctum is slower because to do that you'd need Elegant Key, which means you'd have to get into peaks before getting Dive, which means you'd have to get Lantern. You'd have to do a lot of weird rerouting to get Shade Soul before Sanctum, so yeah, it would be much slower.
Getting the upgrade is absolutely worth it so early in 1221, precisely because we can do that lever skip, but there's far too many requirements to do it the intended way for it to be worth routing so early in the run in this patch.
Alright, so both of them coming out with pretty good health. Yeah, like, amazingly we didn't have a death scare in Sanctum, which is a small miracle.
Yeah, despite Quack having the best of the RNG so far, both of them had a very clean Sanctum.
Yeah.
Nothing kind of too scary. And it's exactly those moments that you think, oh, if I hadn't benched, then I would have saved 6 seconds, but you know that if you didn't bench, then everything would have gone wrong and you would have had to reset everything.
Slaurent accidentally using a fireball there. It's worth mentioning while they're collecting this final geo on the way out of the city now, chat made a correction earlier that Slaurent didn't get the fungal rocks, apparently. I don't pay attention.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That would explain why Quack had maybe a 40 or so geo lead. Slaurent says his Hollow Knight crashed.
Oh.
He's pinged Quacksilver as well, so maybe we will see his stream mysteriously stop in a second. I hope that's not the case. I'm not sure whether we tell Quack to wait for Slaurent to get back to where he came from.
I'm asking him to pause his timer. If he doesn't see the message, it's not the end of the world just because it should be fine with Slaurent's timer. As long as his timer stays paused. Obviously the run will be invalid, but...
Yeah, it looks like he got an infinite load. The mercy is here that they both will have stopped. They will have stopped at that bench in Spire that they need to go back to later.
Actually, no, Quack shouldn't... No. Quack should continue. Yeah, because Quack's on PB.
Okay.
So we'll see if we can get a... We'll see if we can get a sync up from Speed Gaming here. But yeah, Quack should absolutely continue because this is a PB pace for Quack, and it is valid, and we don't want to make that invalid by making Quack stop.
That is understandable. So unfortunately, we're obviously going to be quite desynced. Quack dropping down to say hello to the woozy Miler. Just a little hello. And he's going to be entering peaks now. Hopefully, Slaurent seems to have gotten his game back up and running, so hopefully he doesn't lose too much time getting back to where he last left off.
We're just having him pause his timer. I think what we're going to do is ask Speed Gaming for a sync up. I'll see if they're still here. So we should see it at the same time, even though what we're going to do is basically delay Quack's stream by about an eternity. And we'll just be very delayed on Quack's side, but the two will be at the same spot.
Did Slaurent not manage to make it to the Spire bench? Or did he just miss the bench entirely? I'm sure I saw him enter that room. Maybe I'm just completely imagining.
The Hollow Knight force quitting can be very weird. I don't question it. So yeah, I'll wait till Slaurent starts his timer again when he gets the same load he was at, and then we will ping Speed Gaming and see if we can get a sync up.
That was an interesting fireball from Quack there. I'm not sure whether that was intended as a dive to get iframes, or whether he wanted to kill the laser enemy there to avoid taking damage, but he's carrying on regardless. Going to be entering the Crystal Heart room. Gets the inventory drop, the most important one in Peaks, which is that very long escalator room, so he's going to be going into grabbing Crystal Heart now.
Yeah, worth mentioning that chat saying he actually barely did not make that bench, which is why he respawned all the way back here.
I did think I saw him in the room, but I couldn't tell whether he was going towards the bench or coming away from the bench, so that is my mistake, unfortunately. But hopefully he manages to catch back up. No underplat from Quacksilver. We are denied the content. He will fill up on soul there, so I'm guessing he's taking a lot of safety before he goes into the dark room. The crystal hunters shoot much faster on this patch than they do on 1.2.2.1, and they really can be a pain. So I like this safety from Quack, knowing that he's ahead.
Was Slaurent pausing? Slaurent DM?
So Slaurent's got back to where his game crashed, and I think he's now going to restart his timer.
Yeah, so he said he got... I'm surprised he knows this, actually. He said he got 4 more Geo than he did last time, so him being super fair about it. If he stays above 4 Geo the whole race, it won't matter. I don't really think it should matter anyway.
That's very kind of perceptive of him to notice that. Where
yeah, I'm amazed.
Obviously everything was going on. Like, I would have been freaking out, so kudos to Slaurent for noticing that and being a good sport.
What's overplat? So overplat or underplat is the very end of Crystal Peaks. You can go under that final platform, which saves a little bit of time. It's a very small amount of time, and it's a little bit dangerous, so we kind of meme about it being a super good strat or a super difficult strat or something like that. But that's all it is. It's the little dash at the very end of Crystal Peaks.
It looks cool until it goes wrong, and then everybody laughs at you. Slaurent trying to farm some soul off of that husk, and it just launched itself off the platform and denied him any soul. You hate to see it.
I think I'm gonna... Here. Sorry, we're just trying to find someone from Speed Gaming to help out. Usually they don't have to do this because, again, we have the load normalizer and Hollow Knight doesn't usually crash. It does sometimes, but we're trying to find someone to get this sorted out.
Quack picking up his Descending Dark at pretty much 26 minutes on the dot, so we'll have to try and remember what Slaurent's timer looks like when he manages to make it over to Descending Dark.
Hollow Knight doesn't usually crash, citation needed. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I mean, I'm not sure, are invisible sprites a thing in 1.2.2.1? Because I've seen various invisible bosses in current patch. Oh, Slaurent going all the way up to get the dive into Crystal Peaks and then realizing he's 1 hit of soul short.
Yeah,
that's really unfortunate.
Hello to Speed Gaming for the raid. Hello for I don't know what I'm saying. I'm saying something in English. Yeah, for those just tuning in right now, so you'll see that Slaurent is 3 minutes ahead on the timer. He's about 3 minutes behind on the route, too. Last we checked, he was about 15 seconds behind, 15 or 20 seconds behind Quack in this race, so still a very close race. Unfortunately, his game crashed, so we're kind of jumping through some hoops here. But on the bright side, we do have our own timer, so you can see each runner has their own timer, and that's the time we'll use for the end of game. And it looks like we do have a sync up here, so you'll see on Quack's side it's going to be paused for quite a while until we can get the timers at the same time.
Yeah, Quack is gonna finish a little bit earlier than we will see on stream. So Quack, please, no spoilers. We don't want to know about the embarrassing death that you take 3 minutes in advance. We want to see it happen live.
Yeah, been chat correcting what I just said, by the way. Apparently it was about 25 seconds on dive. So a pretty
still
significant lead from Quack. Yeah, it's still very close, but it's getting to the point where Slaurent needs some kind of a mistake from Quack, which seems to be hard to find. Quack's had a near flawless run, really. Just a really good run from Quack so far.
I don't want to jump too far into the future, but I know today Slaurent was practicing the Umu 1 cycle a lot on stream. And if Quack has not become very comfortable with that, then there is a potential for 15 to 20 seconds of free, in air quotes, time save. Free meaning not technically impossible.
And with Quack with a 25-second-ish lead right now, that could be really close to them being even. But yeah, it is a ways away. We'll see. We'll have a better idea of how close they are when Slaurent gets to these dream platforms. He's getting fairly close. He's getting the end of the Crystal Heart split right now. So we'll pick up Crystal Heart at the end of this. Does he do underplat? No underplat.
Slaurent is a serial overplatter, so no underplats on this stream, unfortunately, everyone.
And then, so we still have D-Dark to see from Slaurent. and after D-Dark, he will go down to the Dream Nail cutscene, which is where Quack is right now. And again, Quack's stream is just paused because we're trying to sync them up after Slaurent crashed. We're trying to get things sorted. It looks like it's working out.
Yeah, optimally, this section from Crystal Dash to D-Dark is about 1.25 to 1.5 minutes. So given that Slaurent picked up Crystal Dash at 25:15, that'll take him to about 26:30, 26:40. So yeah, that will be maybe 30 seconds. But obviously we'll see in a little bit. Ooh, Slaurent trying to jump the gun a little bit there. Getting stomped on. He plays a lot more safe the second time around.
Yeah, and even after getting to D-Dark, of course, Slaurent is going to have to get to this Dream Nail cutscene. So I think, I don't know, it's hard to say how far ahead or behind Slaurent will be. I would be betting on behind Quack still, just because, again, Quack's been playing well and Quack was ahead of Dive, but...
So at this point, there's no way of knowing what Quack has done in the past 3 minutes, but when they sync up, we'll effectively have them running at the same time.
Yeah, in terms of PBs, Slaurent can't get a PB here. Unfortunately, Hollow Knight crashed, and we can't accept a PB on speedrun.com for that. Quack still very much can get a PB, even though the game was paused for like 3.5 minutes on Quack's end. That was only in the Speed Gaming channel. Quack's channel will still have the VOD, and the VOD will be smooth. So if Quack does PB, it is a valid PB, not the case for Slaurent.
So Slaurent picking up Descending Dark at 26:45, so that is about a 45-second difference, as I thought. I'm going to have a quick look at Quack's SRC best time and try and find out what his splits are like and kind of what kind of pace he's on right now.
Yeah, I think Cthulhu said that around Sanctum, Quack was about PB pace. But yeah, if you could take a look at that, that would be helpful. It looks like Quack is definitely ahead of Slaurent. So we'll see. Quack is taking the stag, just so we'll have an idea, at 27:53, it looks like. Based on his pace, Slaurent probably won't even be at Dream Mill at that point. So yeah, pretty significant lead for Quack here for sure. Cthulhu saying in chat, roughly even.
Yeah, a little difference again between current patch and 1.2.2.1, because we have to go pick up Elegant Key to get Shade Soul here. It's quite quick to, from here, go and get Cyclone Slash a little bit early, and then we save and quit back to that bench we took in Watcher's Spire all that time ago after we got Dive. And Cyclone Slash, like, in terms of damage output, doesn't really give us much offensively, because our nail is only doing 5 damage and our spells are doing kind of 80 damage if we get double hits. But Cyclone Slash does allow you to gather soul very fast, and it can also be used to help your character drop very rapidly if you just do like a single release. So it can be used to a certain extent in place of menu dropping, which is quite difficult on this patch, to gain or to lose height quickly.
Yep, and Slaurent messing up under Plat 2.0 there with the Dream Nail cutscene, so it is going to be a pretty significant lead. Again, 53 is the time that we're looking for. 27:53 for Quack, taking that stag. He went for underplat, you gotta respect it. You do gotta respect it.
So looking at his submitted PB, Quacksilver got Cyclone Slash at 28:44. So he's going to be about 15-20 seconds behind at the moment.
Yeah, Quack compared to his PB, yeah. Yeah, Slaurent's almost a full minute behind Quack now. About, 55 seconds.
So yeah, definitely Quack at the advantage right now, but a minute is definitely an amount of time you can very easily lose to Hornet 2 or Isma's tunnel skips if you get unlucky and start falling nervous, or maybe Queen's Gardens and Deep Nest. There's lots of difficult sections that when you're under kind of tournament pressure you can choke in. Hopefully we don't see that, obviously, but a minute is certainly not an unsurmountable lead for Slaurent to catch up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We have a little more quote-unquote setup to do here as Quack's going, and we'll see the pause again, just to try and get these guys synced up a little better. We have a little more stuff to do in terms of getting Shade Soul, killing Watcher Knights, and then all this stuff that we're talking about where a lot of the danger can happen is gonna be what the runners are doing. So it's almost like set up for the times they can actually die or lose a lot of time.
Yeah, so after we pick up Shade Soul here, as you said, Quacksilver's going to take on the Watcher Knights, which shouldn't be too much of a problem in this category since we have Descending Dark and we can just kind of jump on them a few times. The difference between current patch and 1221 is when we use Descending Dark repeatedly, it cancels the iframes of our first attack when we try and do a second attack. So we unfortunately can't kind of just sit in their hitbox and dive over and over again. We have to do the dive, jump up, then do the dive again. It's a little bit more kind of convoluted.
Yeah, it's a pretty minimal change, and you probably don't even notice it in a casual playthrough. But in terms of like speedrunning and killing a lot of enemies as quickly as possible, it's pretty significant.
Quack getting really unlucky here. Every time he dives, the Soul Warrior is kind of standing still. And every time he fireballs, the Soul Warrior dashes forward, so he has no opportunity to double hit.
Yeah, this fight is awkward in current patch, or in current patch all skills at least, because the way that you want to kill him is with D-Dark, but he can just teleport out of a D-Dark whenever. So you kind of just have to hope he'll stay for a few D-Darks until he dies. A bit of a catch-up opportunity for Slaurent here. Again, Shade Soul at 30-54 for Quack. Slaurent almost there, but again, depending on the RNG of that Soul, what is it called? Soul Warrior?
Soul Warrior, yes.
You can save a lot of time on that guy, or lose a lot of time on that guy.
Sometimes he'll just hang around in a corner and shoot projectiles at you and you can dive on his head. Sometimes he'll teleport away as soon as you deal any damage to him. You're like, okay, well, 3/4 of my D-Dark is now wasted. There's nothing really I can do. I do like that Cyclone Slash entering the room from Slaurent. Gets him up to full soul almost instantly, which allows him to use more D-Darks throughout the rest of the fight.
Yeah, answering chat again. Quack does have working audio. The only reason we were on Slaurent is because Quack was paused for a while. But we'll go back on Quack. The standard is kind of whoever's ahead in the race is the audio we use. That's what we'll do. I completely forget what time I said Quack got Shade Soul at, by the way.
I think it was 30:45, 30:50.
Okay, so it's
going
still
to be almost a minute, yeah. There's very little change thus far.
Yep. Nice couple D-Darks from Quack to get the first knight down. Only 5 knights to kill. You can use that Chandelier to get another one. Really early Dream Nail from Quack, so we'll have to go with nail hits, but pretty much at full soul from the nail hits, and they'll stay together, which makes these D-Dark much easier. Even though roll right there, much better than roll left, and that's a really quick second phase.
Wondering about NMG, so that is no major glitches. So there are some glitches that we'll see, such as like some inventory drops and such that are very minor and don't impact the game in a significant way, and we keep them in because they're fun. It's kind of close to glitchless, but not truly glitchless. So that's the definition of NMG for the person who was asking in chat.
Yep. Yeah, it's like glitchless with an asterisk. Synchronized wall climbing from both runners, but different walls. A really nice Watcher Knights from Quack, especially that first and second wave. The third wave was a bit more awkward. They bounced around a little more, made it harder to kill, but still a really clean fight. So yeah, Watcher Knight's kind of the last part of, I won't say easy, because certainly Peaks and Sanctum aren't easy. But it's kind of the end of that middle section of the run where there's not too much difficulty going on from the Dream Nail stretch to Shade Soul to Watcher Knights and this Lurian cutscene. After this, we're going to get into the Spike Tunnel, we're going to get into Hornet 2, Broken Vessel, a lot more opportunity to die.
Yeah, the difficulty does ramp up a little bit, and especially when you're in a tournament setting like this, and you know, especially for Slaurent, you know you're behind and you need to maybe play a little bit riskier, then maybe more mistakes are more prone to come out. But hopefully both runners perform really well, because even though Slaurent, as we said, is a minute behind Quack right now, he is still performing really well considering the unfortunate crash that he had.
Yeah, it's tough for Slaurent, because if you're playing this, you're like, I'm playing pretty well, my RNG's okay, you know, I'm not playing perfectly, but I'm doing pretty good. And then you look over at Quack, who's like a minute ahead of you, and it's like, what the heck is he doing? Like, what
he
is happening
playing
on that
really
side?
well right now.
Yeah.
So Quack going to be picking up the Watcher Knight's chest, so that's 655 Geo. which is going to go a long way towards the remaining things that we need to buy, which is Dash Slash for 800. We need to buy Hidden Station Stag for 300 and Distant Village Stag for 250.
I think Quack even got the... I might be wrong with this, but I think he got the inventory drop down from Lurian too.
He did. He's going to go back to the bench here. I'm not...
in a race? Yeah, I completely respect that.
I guess if he's feeling slightly nervous about his spike tunnel, then go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Given how he's played thus far, I mean, I wouldn't doubt him to get spike tunnel. Slaurent's going to get some soul off of this husk here, and I think he's going to dive down the elevator shaft. Yeah, so a little bit slower optimally because you have to do the dream nail, but a lot less finicky than getting an infantry drop off that tiny little ledge.
Yeah, and worth mentioning, I think the bench was a good play from Quack. I think in a PB attempt, it's probably not. You should have a good amount of confidence in yourself to get this skip, but with a race, especially with the lead he has, it's a smart idea. But he gets it third try. That's okay, as long as he doesn't have too much trouble with his acid skip. He should be fine.
Yeah, his first two pogos were quite early, but he managed to delay it a little bit the third time. So this is a bit of a scary place whenever you're here, because once you're in... Once you've done one of these acid skips, there really is kind of a point of no return. You can't go back and farm health off of any enemies, but he manages the two acid skips excellently. Going to be picking up Isma's tier at about 35-20.
Yeah, so with those 3 skips combined, only taking 2 damage is very good. It looked a little bit scary after the first 2 missed spike tunnels, and he gets the Whormp early control, by the way. But yeah, very well done by Quack. We'll see how Slaurent does here. What the?
Ooh, Slaurent gets like a wall cling storage right off the very bottom of that, that wall, but he manages to get first try spike tunnel, so he will be saving a little bit of time here if he also gets the Isma's skips and the early control.
Yeah, and I don't think he benched either. I could be wrong about that, though. I was paying attention to Quack. That's a really low C-dash. Okay, it works out for him.
Makes it look pretty okay, though.
Yeah. And he'll get the last skip too. Yeah, very well done by both runners. I think Slaurent taking 1 damage, Quack taking 2. That little wall cling, or I don't know what it was at the very beginning from Slaurent. Also, Slaurent gets the early control. It looked like he jumped the last pixel, which gives you that weird wall jump. But he also slashed his nail or something. There was a really weird animation going on there.
So Quack choosing not to leave the room and reset to get the fast bench. Very kind of minor time save or time loss. He's going to be going to fight Broken Vessel now to get Monarch Wings, which is one of our last kind of new skills that we obtained that isn't an upgrade of a previous skill.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll see if more lurks behave and give good... Well, given the RNG that Quack's got so far, I'd be surprised if anything hits him. Okay, well, he didn't really try and dodge that one, so fair enough.
Yeah, I think if you just C-dash into that one, it's guaranteed to hit you.
Why is Quack getting the simple key?
I don't know, you're the current patch runner.
But this route doesn't require a simple key.
He's playing rando. Yeah, wait, you've already been to Waterways. There's like...
Is he getting a key to break my heart and dream nail Marisa at the end of the race?
Oh, he does not have time for this. Slaurent is far too quick for that.
That is an interesting... either Quack must feel very confident, or he's done something in beforehand with Slaurent to say that they're both going to do the same thing.
Yeah, we'll see what Slaurent does. Or Quack is just having, you know, rando flashbacks and wants to check the simple key. It is usually
as I said,
Claw.
He has not done too much all skills. He's an excellent runner and has played a lot of rando and decided to just... Slaurent is also going for this key, so I think there has been something pre-arranged here. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm not sure I want to know, but yeah, we'll find out that later in the run, I guess.
Yeah, it's always fun when the runners agree to do that, because of course if both people do it, you don't lose time. The issue is that Quack's close to PB pace. I don't really know if you want to be grabbing that key, but obviously his decision.
So Slaurent opting to farm a lot of soul off of one of these Morlurks. He took a lot of unfortunate hits. Quack has just finished with the Broken Vessel. I almost didn't really see him fighting Broken Vessel at all, but looks like that went very well.
Yeah, he had a very
so
good
he's
fight.
going to be picking up his Monarch Wings at 38-18.
Yeah, and Slaurent will probably get the scream from Broken Vessel even after 38-18. It's gonna be really tough for Slaurent to come back. I mean, I think at this point it's fair to say he needs a mistake from Quack. He needs like a death to Hornet 2, or at least a really slow Hornet 2, a mistake on Wraiths or Queen's Gardens or something of the sort.
Yeah. So an update on Quack's PB pace. He was 37.38 at Wings, so he's about 40 seconds behind his PB.
Yeah,
so
that's
PB
pretty
pace
rough.
looks to have unfortunately fallen away, but considering he took the safety bench, he got the simple key, I'm not sure he's really going for PB pace anymore anyway.
I would say getting the simple key shows us he's not really going for a PB.
Oko saying it's 100% Marisa. I'm going to be doing the same thing in my race, but we're sitting, not dream nailing. I hope for yours and all of our sakes that is the case. I do not wish to see Marisa murdered before my eyes. That will make me quite sad.
Yeah, so Quack maintaining this minute lead. I mean, the minute lead, where did it come from, right? It started with, it was like 10 seconds in green path, 25 seconds on dive, and I guess another 30 seconds in peaks or so?
I think it must have been, yeah. Like, so far, they haven't had too much in the way of differences. Quack opting to just ignore that infected Gruzzer room entirely with Descending Dark. I quite like that strategy.
I respect it, yeah.
You can very easily take lots of damage in that room, and going through Fog Canyon with the Umas that deal 2 damage on kind of 3 HP is asking for trouble. So I think that's a good decision from Quack.
Yep, and especially without the luxury of the easy inventory drop you can do in 1-2-2-1. It's much harder to set up the inventory drop in current patch. Quack going toward Umu here, so we'll see if Quack attempts the one cycle possible in current patch. Very difficult. Not something... I mean, it doesn't hurt to go for, right? Because if you mess up the one cycle, you can usually pretty comfortably get the 2 cycle anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not something runners really expect to get, I would say.
So 2 different methods for current patch Umu one cycle exist. There's one which is more common, which is using a D-Dark on Umu in the middle platform that Quack's landing on now, doing 3 nail swings to get Umu out of the platform, and then casting 3 Shade Souls and hoping that at least 2 of them double. There's also an any percent like setup where you lure Umu all the way over to one side and then do Shade Soul, 3 nail hits, and then 3 more Shade Souls, and all 3 of those 4 have to double. So that's a little bit more RNG heavy, but for anyone who's very familiar with any percent, it looks very similar to at least the current patch any percent Umu setup. Quack kind of went for the D-dive setup, and he only did 2 of the nail hits, realized that Umu was kind of too far away, and then didn't have chance to go for the 3rd Shade Soul.
If Quack doesn't get another Dream Nail here, this could be a problem for 2 cycle. I don't think 1 Shade Soul will kill. Oh, that's trouble.
Ooh, no!
So
that
close.
Shade Soul was just a fraction too late.
Close.
That was so close. The problem there is he had to go into the acid, and it really limited his ability to do nail swings and farm soul. And yeah, he just, for the first time, I think, so far, Quack has really had bad luck with getting basically no doubles there at all.
Yeah, that Shade Soul would have killed too.
If Slaurent does manage to get the one cycle here, he could be saving kind of 35-40 seconds.
He'll be very close with the 1
swing.
cycle, yeah. I think he'll still be behind. He'll certainly still be behind, even with a 1 cycle, but we'll see how he does here. Oh,
he
my
does.
goodness,
Wow,
he gets it.
that
So
practice
2
did
save.
pay off. I did say he'd been practicing that a lot on stream today, and it really paid off. I was worried that his first Shade Soul wasn't going to double, but the others managed it kind of perfectly, knocking Umu right where it needed to be, doing just enough damage. That is a huge time save for Slaurent, and you can see they are very, very close now.
Yeah, this race just became a lot more interesting. I mean, 3 cycle from Quack, really unfortunate, and then a fortunate 1 cycle from Slaurent, kind of reversing the RNG we saw earlier in the race. But that saves on the order of like 40 seconds, like you said. So yeah, probably like a 10-second race here. Maybe a little more. We'll see what time.
Well, it's going to be loadless time going into this
36.
cutscene, so 42:36.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, these cutscenes are not skippable in current patch like they are in 1.2.2.1, so we have to kind of sit through the lore just a little bit more than we would do normally. But yeah, Slaurent's probably only going to be kind of 6 or 7 seconds behind here.
Yeah, that's super close now. You're probably a little annoyed at yourself if you're Quack right now, because you've had a pretty comfortable race, and 3 cycle Umu isn't what you want to see, but in his defense, that was a very mean Umu to him. Not saying it's impossible to have 2-cycled that, certainly not impossible, but, like, you know, not... Umu made it as difficult
certainly
as possible.
didn't help him, yeah. He didn't give him any favors. So yeah, 8 seconds the gap, with the Slaurent coming out of the dream sequence at 42.44. So we get a little fairly easy segment now, going to Great Slash, and we're going to stop and kill Massive Moss Charger on the way for our last big Geo source. But then we have to get Wraiths, and then we go through Queen's Gardens and Dark Deep Nest and Beast's Den, where runs can definitely decide to go wrong.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 race at this point. And the momentum definitely in Slaurent's favor, which can mean a lot. I think the mental game after 1 cycling versus 3 cycling Umu is a pretty big deal.
Slaurent did really well to kind of hang on with the bad luck and some of the sloppiness that he had earlier in the race, and now he's definitely seeming to be riding a wave of confidence. We'll see if either of them can get this Massive Moss Charger quick kill as well.
I didn't even know he killed Massive Moss Charger.
We wouldn't do normally, but unfortunately Elegant Key's 800 Geo kind of sets us back a little bit, so we have to get a little bit more Geo to afford Dash Slash later on. Quack not managing to get the quick kill, so he has to wait a little jump cycle. If Slaurent can get this quick cycle, he might save another few seconds. And he does. That first Shade Soul doubling is going to bring them even closer together. There's got to be less than 5 seconds difference
It's
now.
probably even less. I think Quack actually had 3, like another quote-unquote 3 cycle on Massive Moss Charger. I don't think it was just that he didn't get the quick kill. I think he didn't get the second round either. I mean, we'll see. Like, you can even see Quack starts that C-Dash at 44.20, right? Like, you can use that to compare the 2 runners. Oh, yeah. They're so close here with, like, 10... maybe a little over 10 minutes left in the race. Slaurent actually ahead by 3 seconds.
Yeah, Slaurent has taken the lead here. He's definitely come alive in the second half of this run, especially considering the adversity that his run started in with that client crash.
Yeah, true, he did that. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't think it would be a PB for him anyway. I'd be very surprised to see a PB from him.
No, his PB is 1 hour, 1 minute and 40, so it's a little bit faster than Quack's leaderboard PB.
Oh yeah, we have a ways to go in this race. Dude, all I know is 1-2-2-1. That's all I know. Save me. Really good movement from these guys. I've been really impressed by this race. I think both these runners have played very well.
So we're going to see a save and quit here to head back to that archives bench, just like we would see in 1-2-2-1.
Yep, and from here it's going to be a long stretch of time where we don't get to heal. So from the archives bench, we're going to be going into Queen's Gardens, into the Wraiths Arena. There's a lot of stuff that can hurt in there, and then, you know, just in case Queen's Gardens alone wasn't enough, we have to go through Dark Deep Nest into Distant Village. Yeah,
not the hardest and most complicated parts of Dark Deep Nest, but the first room in particular, especially if you take damage and the spiders have all spawned, it can be quite a nightmare to navigate through that easily.
Yeah, the only saving grace with this over any percent, say, because you're doing more here than any percent, you have to do the entire race arena, and you have to do it in the dark, but any percent has to go through Beast Den, and all skills gets to skip it, which is a huge boon.
Yeah, so to anyone wondering why we're talking about Slaurent's kind of comeback, his game crashed about 1/3 of the way through the run, so about 20 minutes ago. We paused his timer and allowed him to get back to where he kind of crashed. So although his time's not going to be valid for a leaderboard, they are kind of nicely synced up. Speed Gaming has done a great job of syncing the two runners up, so technically, Quack is kind of 3 minutes into the future, and we're looking at a very delayed stream. But for the viewing experience, this is worked out really well.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that, the comeback from Slaurent is more, he had a rough green path and Soul Sanctum, and I think Peaks even. So the time loss was from those sections, it wasn't from the actual game crashing.
Yeah, two different strategies in this kind of arena with the squits. Quack opting to kind of corral all of them into close proximity and then cast a D-Dark and use the Shockwave Slaurent trying to line them up and then fireball them. So it's interesting to see like the little differences in strategy between the two with whatever the runners feel confident. I mean, I've personally practiced that arena quite a bit, and it feels like every time I try it, like it happens differently. Like one setup just doesn't work the same way 2 times in a row.
I 100% agree with that. I'm sure there's some consistency, and if you practice it enough, it gets better, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Do your practice, do your IL, stuff like that, but I hate it. These guys a little more HP, right? Oh, Quack's gonna have a lot of problems missing those 2 Shade Souls.
Yeah, they have
I think 1 more will kill. Yeah.
5 more HP in current patch than they do in 1.2.2.1. So whereas they will die in 1 Shade Soul only, we do have to do either a double, which is kind of RNG, or we get that first nail hit, which Slaurent manages to do quite nicely. And we can't do this little Thorn hazard respawn that we can do in 1.2.2.1, so we do have to go around and hit the lever normally. That Mantis Petra is in a really horrible spot for Slaurent, and he just hovers there and says, okay, well, you gotta get past me, I'm just gonna stay here.
Yeah, both of them at 2 HP for a second there. Quack getting some soul and healing back up to 3. And Slaurent at 1, this is very scary wall jumps.
Yeah,
okay,
I wouldn't fall down there with 1 HP, because this little flying moss creep can just be way over to the right, and you can hit him by accident. So Slaurent playing a little bit safe. So I think this is going to bring them pretty much back onto par, maybe Quack slightly into the lead again. We'll have to see when they enter Deep Nest.
Yeah, and this is a stressful situation to be in as a runner, because you know you're very close to your opponent here. It's almost like a game of chicken, like who wants to go for the harder strat, who's going to blink first, who might take a death or a lot of time loss. But yeah, it's a really cool race to watch for sure.
So Quack entering Dark Deep Nest at 48-46. Slaurent is still going to be ahead a little bit because of loads, but it's only by maybe 5 seconds at most.
Yeah, I think his rates were a little bit cleaner, because he did take a couple damage to the end of QG. Although Quack had a little bit of problems with the Petra Arena. I mean, we're talking seconds here. Like, they're very close. They're just barely going back and forth.
So both runners looking to get up to 6 soul, so 2 spell casts before they go into Beast Den, so they can quick kill the 1 Devout that we see. Quack is going to have to find 3 hits of souls somewhere.
He's a spider, right?
But he's not going to go for that spider, so
oh,
I'm not...
That's scary.
Is he going to Dream Nail the second Devout? I'm not quite sure.
Quack,
but yeah, that was very sketchy.
Yeah. There's a lot of spikes you can run into there, and you'd have to... If you hit the spikes, it'll respawn you at the beginning of the room, for those who don't know, and the room gets harder, because now all the floors are already broken, there's spikes everywhere. That was very scary from Quack's end, but in the end, a really good Dark Deepness from both runners.
Yeah, a little bit of a quality of life thing for, I guess, the casual player, because you don't want to be spawned in a dark room with no way of knowing where you are or where the enemies are, so it just puts you back at the entrance to the room. And if you decide, no, I'm scared of this, I don't want to be here, you can just immediately leave.
Oh my god. Okay.
Quack, good job. Quack did heal back up to full, because yeah, that Devout was very quick on the draw with the attack there, and obviously they deal the 2 damage. So yes, Lawrence had a really good Beast Den. We weren't really paying too much attention, but he's going to take quite the advantage here. Yeah,
he's going to take back quite a bit of time. If you recall, Quack actually was first, on our screens, Quack was first into Dark Deep Nest, and Slaurent was second, even though Slaurent was ahead on the clock. And now Slaurent is first to Hera, even with him being ahead on the clock, if that makes some sense. So he's probably like 20 seconds ahead here. We'll see when the timer pauses, 50-17. Yeah, even more than 20.
So 23 seconds, the difference. And again, this is all something that can be overturned by like a death to Siblings and the Lighthouse Climb, or a death to Hornet 2, which is coming up immediately after this, after they buy the Distant Village Stag. So definitely no kind of decisive advantage to one or the other, but the momentum is definitely with Slaurent right now. He's performed really well the second kind of half of this run.
Yeah, ever since Umu. I mean, that's such a huge turnaround, and he's really riding that. And yeah, I mean, we haven't, even without a death, we haven't fought Hornet 2, we haven't fought THK, we haven't done Abyss Climb, like, even without a death, like, there's so much time that Quack can make up through just movement on Slaurent here.
Well, this is another thing that we mentioned a lot earlier, and we've got to come back to. Quack getting the Fungal Rocks earlier already has the 800 Geo needed to buy Dash Slash. Slaurent is going to have to slow down slightly to get some hoppers to be able to afford that. Oh, hang on. This is their detour. They're going to
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Pleasure House.
is this current patch? I'm very confused. Yeah, okay. It looks like they're just doing this. Is not part of the run. If anyone's trying to learn the run off this race, stop now.
I'm very apprehensive. Is this a Marissa kill or is this a Marissa sit?
What if one of them does one of them does the other?
No, not like this. My heart. Quack giving me hope and then snatching it away cruelly. I'm so sad. I'm so crushed.
Yeah, and appreciation to both runners for following. I'm sure it was an agreement, but just for following through on that. It would have been kind of scummy to not, assuming that they agreed upon it. But anyway,
So,
back to your regularly scheduled all skills.
Yeah, back to Dash Slash going to be the next. So there's been a little bit of a route change recently that some people have adopted and some have not. Slaurent's going to be going for a clockwise Kingdom's Edge, where we get the Hornet 2 bench, and Quack's going to be doing the same as well, and then we drop down to Dash Slash and then save and quit back to the Hornet 2 count bench.
Yeah, it's pretty fun that you can call it clockwise versus counterclockwise Kingdom's Edge. I don't think there's that distinction in any other route in the game.
So time-wise, and obviously getting the safety bench, it's advantageous to get this bench first and then do the save and quit. The only advantage over the kind of counterclockwise method of not doing the save and quit is we get to Hornet 2 with a little bit of soul. But I'm not sure that's enough really to warrant the time that you can gain. And here is where Slaurent's going to get his extra geo, just killing a few of these hoppers to get the 40 geo he needs.
Yeah, and it works out pretty well. He loses a little bit of time. The bigger thing, as you just saw there, he can't do that dive that Quack just did. So probably 5 to 10 seconds in that range, I would say.
Yeah, so to anyone asking, the bench is kind of a safety bench there. If we do counterclockwise, then we don't need to get that bench. But because we save and quit here after getting Dash Slash, it is mandatory if we're doing it in this direction. Because otherwise we would end up back at whatever our previous bench was, which would probably have been the King Station bench that they stopped at after they came from Distant Village.
Yep. And in addition, for those who don't know, the reason why it doesn't lose much time to take that safety bench or do this clockwise route is because after Hornet 2, the game will hard save anyway. So we've been save quitting, which is when we quit out and we load back in the game to the most recent bench we sat in. There are things called hard saves. So Soul Sanctum is one, getting dive is one, and Hornet 2 is also one. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't quit out to like an earlier bench. Hornet 2 will automatically save the game. And they're almost synced in terms of
yeah, this is
on the
really,
screen
really
right now.
Close.
Yeah, this is going to be a very important Hornet 2 fight.
Slaurent looking like he's about 20 seconds ahead on the timer. Like, we're going to have to see a death to lose that much time, really, unless one runner plays Hornet 2 exceptionally safe. But this could swing kind of the race either way, because knowing that you're losing time going into things like the Lighthouse climb, the Abyss climb, and then obviously the Hollow Knight fight can really affect your nerves and make you either lose or gain significantly more time in those splits.
Yeah, pretty good fight from both of them. I don't think we're seeing a death here. Hornet 2 should be close to dead on both screens.
I noticed Quack doing a little bit of a safety heal. I haven't seen Slaurent heal yet, but again, really clean from both of them. They haven't taken almost any unnecessary damage.
No. Slaurent took 2 damage at the start, which was a little scary. He's going to take another damage there to a parry. We'll see if he wants to heal, but Hornet should be, yeah.
The point blank Shade Soul parry, one of Hornet's favorite moves.
Yeah. A pain to deal with. And yeah, Quack, I think Slaurent had a bit better Hornet 2.
Yeah, Quack dealing with Hornet 2 as well, but Slaurent slightly more effective, must have got a few more doubles in there. So he's going to be gaining maybe 5 or so more seconds going into Ancient Basin again, and then Abyss, our last kind of new area where we're going to pick up Shade Cloak, the upgrade for the dash ability, and then of course Abyss Shriek, the upgrade to Howling Wraiths, which we don't see either runner use at all, because by the time we get Wraiths, we have D-Dark and Shade Soul, which are just far more damage.
Yeah, than the Soul Wraiths, of course.
Abyss Shriek does prove very useful fighting against the Hollow Knight because his head has such a gigantic hitbox. Yeah, the base Howling Wraith's ability not proving too useful. Ooh!
This damage shouldn't matter from Slaurent, because we're going to bench Toon anyway.
Was sniped by that Aspid. He tried to outrun it, but just couldn't quite manage.
This is going to make it awkward in King Station, because there is a Bellfly that you kind of almost expect to tank that does 2 damage.
You can go underneath. You can go underneath the platform, like near to where that grub is, in order to avoid the hit, and Quack does take the hit there. Slaurent took quite a lot of time out to heal by farming HP off of that Boo Fly.
And he had to. This is a significant time loss, actually. Both the damage, respawning earlier, and having to take the heal. We'll see a 29 bench from Quack. It was about 25-second difference on King's Brand. We're closing that toward just about 10 now. He's not benching here?
Slaurent's going to bench at the hidden station stag, I think, which again is a time loss. Like, if he dies, then it won't lose as much time, but if he doesn't die, then that's another 4 or 5 seconds out of his way, whereas the King Station bench is just right there. You walk right past it anyway.
Why didn't he bench at King? Did he just forget?
No, I think Slaurent usually does bench at Hidden Station. I think the theory is that if you die to, like, the lighthouse climb to siblings, then you respawn closer. Like you don't have to do the stag travel again. But I think that's a little bit passive, and
I think it's passive.
Needs to be playing a little bit more aggressively here, knowing how close behind Quack is.
Yeah, I think, like, in theory, if you die to the sibling climb, you've probably lost the race anyway. I don't know. Yeah. I'd like to see a bench at King Station there. A little more confidence. But, I mean, it's his choice, obviously. I just get to make fun of people. That's how we commentate.
Planning to die is a little bit pessimistic, but, I mean, this is Hollow Knight, a game about everything dying and the cycle being endlessly repeated into nothingness, so maybe it's very fitting. This is a really good lighthouse climb from Slaurent. There was a nice wiggle of the platform jumps there.
Yeah,
just happened to jump over to his stream and see how cool a climb that was. But yeah, Quack probably has taken the lead here. Or if not, it's going to be very close.
I don't think so. I think it's about 14 seconds still in favor of Slaurent.
We're going to pick up Shade Cloak in just a second so we can confirm that. I think you are right, actually. Slaurent is still slightly ahead.
Yeah, but again, you mentioned the bench. He's going to have to... Well, he's not going to have to call the stag, but he's going to have to ride the stag back to King Station, worth mentioning. We get our early quit out here. I hate doing this in, like, a tournament setting, by the way, because you can't see your timer actually split, so you don't know if you've gotten Shade Cloak yet, but we haven't seemed to have too much of a problem with it so far.
Yeah, Quack did kind of wait quite a long time to save and quit there. I think he was just being very cautious, because... Yeah, you really don't want to lose a run to quitting out like a fraction of a second early and end up losing multiple minutes. But yeah, this could all come down to who gets the better Abyss climb, and then of course who gets good RNG with the Hollow Knight. If one of them ends up getting tons of parries or like just jumping around and doing triple slashes, then that could decide the whole race.
I almost got hit there with those wings. This is like, it's not a difficult section, but it's deceptively hard to learn. There's a lot of random dashes, C-dashes, wings that you have to know. And of course the Cyclone / Quack will get all the soul that he needs there. Slaurent doing the other method of a Great Slash and 2 nail hits. You want 3 soul here because you have to use Wraiths to get a Abyss Shriek at the end of the section here.
Yeah, I agree. So whilst the section itself is not difficult, you have to think about it in the context of the 2 sections that come afterwards. You need to farm enough soul to get Abyss Shriek, and a little bit more soul that you can then use going into the Hollow Knight fight is also good. And you also really don't want to take damage because like any damage that you have to heal up by benching before you do the Hollow Knight fight is again more time loss that your opponent might be able to take an advantage on.
Yeah, you really don't want to have to bench before the fight. Quack messing up the CS a little bit.
Yeah, just a tiny bit too low there and having to do the wall jump. So again, visually they're very synced up,
climbs,
but about 20 seconds on the timer between the two.
And it looks like a little more practice of a climb from Slaurent. You can tell by the strats he's doing a lot more spike pogos. He's going a more direct route up, and a really clean climb from him at that. He's probably saved 5+ seconds on this climb already, and of course, as I mentioned, that he messes up.
Yeah, he messes up, but by kind of being a bit too cautious, which I think is a good idea. Like,
Sure.
I would rather like miss the wall, have to go around, than take the damage and then respawn at the bottom and have to do the same thing anyway. So yeah, really clean, if a little safe, but that's understandable for both races. And they're both going to go into Hollow Knight with 5 HP and Quack with full soul, actually.
Yeah, that's significant. The full soul can be a big deal in the THK fight. Quack needs to make up a lot of time here. It's still about 15 to 20 seconds. Slaurent saved even more time on that Abyss climb. So 1 hour, 1 minute, or sorry, 1 hour, 1 second for Slaurent, 1 hour, 24 seconds for Quack. So 23-second deficit Quack has to make up on this fight. That's very difficult.
I think this is boiling a lot down to how much Slaurent has kind of practiced the route for all skills in particular, and how comfortable he is in adapting to, like, what if the siblings are in a different place, and do you know where the optimal positions are to C-dash and when to use wings? Whereas Quacksilver is kind of using his rando knowledge to improvise a little bit, and normally that works really well, but when it comes down to like a difference between maybe half a second or 1 second per room, they're really adding up for Slaurent now.
Why did Quack bench Endermith, by the way? Was that just a mistake?
I think that there's maybe a potential for either infinite load THK, or if you Abyss Shriek THK right as he's about to do Final Scream, you can soft lock yourself. That's happened to me a few times, and respawning back at the Shade Cloak pickup is just soul crushing. So
Yeah.
again, I think it's very passive in the context of how close this race is, and I probably wouldn't have done it, but I can understand why you would want to do it just in case.
Yeah, in a race format, sure. So we're gonna get them screaming about the same time. The idea with this fight is to use Shriek like Slaurent is doing right there. It's much easier on 1-2-2-1. THK has much less time to teleport out of your Shriek or attack you. It looks like Slaurent's not being phased by it, though, even having run 1-2-2-1 in current patch. A really nice first phase from Slaurent.
Yeah, THK for Quack is kind of jumping around a little bit, giving some bad patterns, but Slaurent managed to get off loads of really nice Abyss Shrieks early on in the fight there, and
that's
already
so
into
good.
third phase for Slaurent. This is really good THK from him.
Yeah, not going to be a bad time in the end from Quack either. Probably a 102, maybe a very low 103, which is very close to his PB, so credit to Quack.
Slaurent not quite managing the Scream skip, but I think he's definitely got
gonna
enough
take
in
it.
hand here to
Yeah.
take the victory.
Yep.
Really good fight for Slaurent. GG's to him. Quack going to be just a little bit further behind.
What an ending from Slaurent.
Yeah, really good comeback. Like, that the early issues didn't seem to phase him at all, and you could tell he's practiced the route and the category and its tech a lot.
Yeah.
So GG to Quacksilver as well. He's going to end up maybe kind of 30 seconds behind him. Again, we got the Scream skip because he decided to do the balloon kind of attack there. So yeah, well done to both runners, and hopefully we'll be able to get them both in here to have a little bit of a chat, find out how the race went for them.
Yep, they should be in the invites fairly soon. I'm just hitting done, that's why the audio is completely cutting out. So yeah, 35-second difference in the end. It certainly didn't feel like it. I think 35 seconds is probably the biggest, well, it's definitely the biggest deficit that Quack has had all race. There was like that 1 minute time difference in the middle of the race, but even then, Slaurent, really good comeback. Hello, Slaurent.
Hey,
Well-
how did the quit out affect your nerves, do you think? You had a really good back end of the race, and we were kind of wondering whether it bothered you at all, or whether you just kind of had a good no reset mentality. I know you've been practicing a lot.
Oh, you mean when the game crashed?
Yeah.
Oh, that was like, okay, we have a protocol for this. Just gonna pause until the transition.
Yep.
For some reason, I was like, oh, I should maybe get rid of the soul I grabbed on the way, which is why I did a fireball in the bench room
Oh.
before remembering.
Oh.
Yeah, before remembering. Oh, that's a fair gain for that soul. I actually need that for diving and stuff.
Hey, Slaurent,
That was kinda
GG's.
Yeah,
GG,
GG's
Quack.
as well, Quack. Really good race from both of you that kind of seesawed and zigzagged all the way through.
So, Slaurent, I'm disappointed you lied to me. It turns out there's not a 1 essence requirement to enter the Abyss on the new patch. Like, what gives?
Funny. I'm assuming you did the thing.
I did, in fact, do the thing.
If the
Excellent.
thing was making me very sad, then yes, you did the thing.
Fun fact: the Marissa content lost about 50 to 55 seconds total. I was plus 35 at the end, so
Yeah, I
that
think
would have been a
both of
PB.
you would have PB'd.
Yeah,
If you
Quack,
didn't
Plus- plus
Quack
about
was
20.
plus 22, so he would have PB'd without the key and the Marissa shenanigans. So
I
Throwing
respect
for
both of
content,
us.
you love to see it.
Exactly. But yeah, I was during some of the Dreamer cutscenes, like the last two, I was checking the Speed Gaming stream, and we were like in the abyss at the same time and the fight at the same time. I
Yeah.
saw at the end. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you
The
were
only thing I
behind.
feel really bad about was just fat fingering Umu. Like I 3-cycled Umu and it was the worst feeling because I had spent so
was
much time practicing
definitely the
Ismas and
biggest-
Dark Deep Nest that I forgot about bosses.
yeah, that was definitely the biggest swing in the race that really brought Slaurent back into contention. I think like you had maybe a minute lead at some parts, Quacksilver, but yeah, that 3-cycle Umu was very unfortunate. Definitely, Slaurent took advantage of that.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
from I think like peaks to Umu, like that whole time, Quack was holding on to this 55-second to a minute lead, and just was not wavering at all. And then 3, and especially with the 1 cycle that Slaurent got, was a huge.
Oh,
swing.
geez, yeah, GG.
Yeah,
I was so glad I got that in the tourney. I had been practicing that this morning.
yeah. JB was talking about it.
Also,
I did
pour one
kind
out
of put
for
a little bit
Epogo.
of pressure on you to get the 1 cycle. I was like, he's been practicing a lot. He'll get it. He'll be fine. It's a good time save, and you did. So very happy.
Yeah.
Mathulu has a question in chat, Slaurent. He
Sure.
says, "Quote: Forgotten corners when."
Tomorrow, TM maybe.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Maybe.
Usually, when I ask questions like that, I expect people to delay or like not answer, laugh it off, or something. Yeah.
No, I actually do want to go back to
that.
Committed to the cause.
So for people who
Maybe,
don't know, Forgotten Corners is a plando, so like a quote-unquote planned randomizer, and we have a leaderboard for it. But at some point, I think yesterday or the day before, the mods realized, oh, we were using dialogue storage to skip the Hornet 1 fight. So those runs got yeeted. And Mathulu recorded a new valid run where he was streaming, and now I have to do the same.
So, Quack, I want to ask something. I know that you've obviously been practicing NKG and Kronk and Ghostbusters.
Yes,
Like-
allow me to rep for all of the meme categories.
Here we
that
go.
aren't all
Yeah.
scales.
So, how much practice did you put into like this category as a whole, and like specifically like the specific movements and not the boss fights? Because I kind of felt like towards the end, a lot of your like when to dash and when to wings was kind of rando improvised, which worked really well. But it kind of lost you a little bit of time each room, I think, to Slaurent, who was like, I know exactly when I need to see dash and when dashing saves time, and you lost a
Yeah.
little bit of time to kind of not see dashing at the right height coming out of the Abyss Shriek room. So how much of
Yeah,
like that
that-
little micro room optimization, if any, have you done?
Yeah, that whole basically everything on the other side of Dark Deep Nest has been like watching runs and doing runs and not optimizing things. I looked at so the problem with the Abyss climb is Ghostbusters % plug does that Abyss climb, except you don't have wings, so the movement looks completely different. Like there are some routes that you just cannot take in that. And so out of fear of fat fingering it and like going the wingless route, I took, I think, the safest possible Abyss climb. Like I went for none of the spike pogos because I was like, what if I'm just doing this wrong? And I think Slaurent can attest, like even as recently as yesterday, I just straight up, I was doing a practice run and I left Soul Sanctum and went to City Storerooms instead of King Station because I was playing all charm notches. So like, I'm glad we took it. I'm glad I took it like pulled the focus in for this one. But yeah, there's definitely, I have a lot of learning to do on the end of this run. Although I'm super proud of how my Dark Deep Nest has come along in the like couple weeks leading up to this race.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
looked
your
very
early game
good.
in particular as well looked really good. Like you got kind of favorable RNG in most areas, but your execution was really good to kind of take advantage of that as well. I think Paul and I both agreed.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many ways you can play the beginning of the game, so having other categories phase that doesn't really change a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I guess any kind of closing thoughts from either of you on your next races and the tournament so far?
Switching from current patch to 1.2.1 and back again is stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
Yeah.
Just like, it was like,
That sounds like a nightmare.
why did I do this? What's happening?
Yeah, current patch THK would scare me if you keep switching back.
Yeah, that and just like making sure I know where to go. Like I renamed my Wraiths split to QGA entrance so that I know to go down there.
Yes, I have a sheet of paper in front of me that contains exactly 2 notes, and the 2 notes are remember to kill Marissa because we agreed, and Spire Bench after dive, you moron.
I like those notes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we're going to wrap up. So again, GG's to both of you, and thanks for the great race. It was really close, and hopefully you both have good luck in your future races.
Yeah, thank you for coming this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
thanks.
it was a fun race.
I'll be gonna look back on that later.
Yep. Before we wrap up, just the last thing. This is, as we were mentioning, the end of round 1. The very last match of round 1 is going to be a 1-2-2-1 match. I think there's one unscheduled still, so I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate. But the last scheduled match for round 1 is tomorrow, Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern, the lovely time of 8 a.m. Eastern. I cannot convert that to other time zones, but perhaps you know what your
That'll
time zone
be
is.
1 p.m. UTC, I believe.
I believe it.
8 plus 5 is 13.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
Time zones are hard, man.
So
Yeah.
other than that, we don't have anything scheduled, but stay tuned. Round 2 will be scheduled pretty soon, and I think there's 1 or 2 more matches that need to be scheduled for round 1. So that's
So-
all I got.
As a side note, technically, Quack and I were supposed to wait till round 2.
Yeah.
So
I was
So this is
told.
a teaser for close matches ahead. Everyone, stay on the Speed Gaming family of Twitch channels. If you like Hollow Knight.
the Speed Gaming family Twitch channels. I love that.
What you meant, Quack, is this race didn't actually count because it isn't round 2 yet, right?
Ooh, this was just a
Yeah.
warm up. Well, if you can
Yeah.
have another race just as close as this one, then I won't complain.
Slaurent might complain.
Yeah, no. Well earned. And
GG's, man.
now finally I can use Slaurent as a practice resource for future all skills races.
Yeah, totally. We could do practice races sometime.
Heck yeah.
I have to find somewhere to send my 9 viewers that are viewing my actual stream for some reason.
Alright.
Anyway,
GG's, guys.
GG's.
Yeah,
We can
I don't
go.
have anything
GG's.
else.
GG's again. Thanks to everyone who tuned in to watch, and obviously thanks to Speed Gaming and